Hey guys, so today I'm going to be discussing how your urine is produced in the body, and sorry if my hand's shaking, my usual media was not working. But first we're going to talk about the main organs that are involved in the urinary system, so that's going to include your kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra, and I drew them out in this diagram to the left. So your kidneys are going to be responsible for filtering the blood and creating the urine, while your ureters are going to carry the ureters are going to carry the urine from the kidneys to the bladder, and the bladder is going to hold it till you're ready to pee, and then your urethra allows it to leave the body. So inside the kidneys, there are going to be these different structures that I drew, and they're going to be called your renal lobes, which contain your tissue that helps filter your blood, and then you're going to have your renal sinus, which is going to be that cavity that holds that major and minor calyces and the renal pelvis. And all these structures are going to be able to collect your urine and funnel it towards the ureter. And then on the right hand picture is going to be discussing kind of what's going on with this filtering. So your blood's going to enter the kidney through the afferent arteriole and leave through the efferent arteriole. So on that, in the left picture, those red kind of vein looking like things are going up and down. That the one pointing up is going to be your afferent, below efferent. And then these vessels are going to be important because they control the blood flow into and out of the filtering unit. And then the actual filtering happens in the renal corpuscle, which includes your glomerulus and your glomerular capsule. The glomerulus is going to be your bundle of tiny capillaries where blood is filtered, and kind of where the spaghetti looks like. It kind of looks like spaghetti. And then this process is going to be called your glomerular filtration, and it's going to form fluid called filtrate. And then after your filtration, the filtrate is going to move into the proximal convoluted tubule, where most of your nutrients, or almost like your nutrients, water, ions, are going to be reabsorbed back into the blood. And then after, it's going to travel down to the descending limb of the nephron, where your water is going to leave the filtrate. And you can see it in the diagram, like it's pointing the arrows, like what's coming out, what's coming in. And then you're going to move to your ascending limb of the nephron. This is going to be where salts are pumped out and water stays inside. This is going to help create I forgot what the word is called, but it shows in there what, kind of what's going in and out. And then after that, it's going to go to your distal convoluted tubule, which is where ions and waters are going to be added and removed, kind of depending on what your body needs. So it's not going to be the same every time. And then at this point, it's going to be important to understand what the fluid's called throughout all three parts. So the difference between filtrate, tubular fluid, and urine. So your filtrate is going to be the fluid right after filtration. Your tubular fluid is going to be what's called as it goes through this whole nephron looking thing. And then once it reaches the end and finally ready to leave the body, like when you pee, it's going to be called urine. So the two main processes that I did talk about in this is going to be your reabsorption and secretion. So it's important to know that reabsorption is when useful substances, like things we want in our body, like water, glucose, and ions, are going to be taken back into the blood. And then secretion is when additional waste, like the ions, the excess ions and waste products or whatever the body doesn't want, is going to be removed from the body through the pee. But that would be all. Thank you.